Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. Now, Black Widow was a film that I was highly anticipating because, of course, I'm a big MCU fan. And I think it was time. It was about time. Actually, it was 5 years ago. It was about time for Black Widow, for Scarlett Johansson to have her own film. And finally, we got the answer. Of course, it's not at the best time, but I think a lot of people are excited for it. And it's a film that we need to really consider as a big part of the MCU. So in this video, I want to break it down for you, the good and the bad, what I like about it, what I didn't like about it, and ultimately, I want to let you know if I think it's one of the best in the whole franchise or not. So in the next couple of minutes, stay tuned. They're good. The most important thing about this film, in my opinion, of course, is Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson, the Black Widow. I think she steals, as always, has done since she was introduced in Iron Man 2, the show. She is great at it. We love her because of it. She has been the heart of the MCU, and definitely in this film, finally she gets the chance to really present her own story, and I'm glad for that. So that's the center. I think that's the reason most people are going to come to watch this film in the first place, is because they love Natasha Romanoff, they love Scarlett Johansson portraying the part, and that's the biggest highlight here. Another great highlight, and it was really a surprise for me, was the portrayal of Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, the sister of Natasha Romanoff in the film. It was great. She did a fantastic job. There's a comedic side of her. There were so many moments that she really hit it on the spot with the comedy, but also there were some very serious moments, so there's some dramatic elements there. She did a terrific job. She was a highlight to the point that sometimes that I felt that she was still in the show. You have David Harbour portraying Alexei, the Red Guardian. He is very funny in the film. I like that. I think he's a great actor, and I love him in the stuff that he has done with, of course, Stranger Things. I wouldn't say that the portrayal of the Red Guardian was as perfect for me, based on the comics, because of course I remember the Red Guardian back in the 80s when I was reading the comics, and I always loved the character. But I feel that it was good. I think he did a good job. There's a lot of, particularly that, the chemistry that he has, so the moments that he has with the comedic elements where actual Florence is also involved, and he is involved like a father and daughter conversations. Those are funny moments. Of course, Rachel Weisz also portraying the part as the mother in this family, and another Black Widow. It's really good. You know, I think, they did a good job. The cast is good, and definitely that was a strong point in this film. Now, besides the acting, the biggest part that is attractive about this film is the action sequences. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of moments where you see a lot of battles, explosions, chases, and it's fun. I love that part of the film. It starts really strong too with a chase. They're trying to chase this airplane. They're trying to take off, and with the families trying to take off. It's really good. It's really strong. It's fast, and it's enjoyable. But throughout the film, there are a lot of those moments. There are a couple of times in past films where I felt that everything was so choreographed, but here I felt that they felt more natural. So they did a good job with the choreography and the fights, and definitely the explosions and all of that. Of course, there's a lot of CGI, but I think that's what is attractive. This is the type of film that you have to go at the movie theater to watch. I watched it here at home, and it was easier for me because of my job. But I can see that watching at the movie theater is the best experience because everything that is happening at once. So yeah, it is another great highlight. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. Although the film had a lot of good things, it doesn't mean that it was perfect. And there were a lot of disappointments and a lot of shortcomings here. And one of them is the villain, the Taskmaster. Although he's not necessarily the villain, he's part of that, the villain group that is going after the Black Widow. He is not the center villain here. And the villain is a person that is really moving, pretty much kind of pulling the strings behind the Taskmaster. So the Taskmaster is just an enforcer. But if you know the comics, the Taskmaster is a really powerful, a really strong character. It's a great villain. I really like the character. I love the design. But here, it doesn't have the same power. And ultimately, this is the sad part, is that the film throughout, all the promotional trailers and all the stuff that was done, prior to this film, like for 2 years now, they were talking about this Taskmaster, and everybody wanted to know the real identity of this character. But ultimately, when you see who the Taskmaster is, you get really disappointed. It's disappointing. Even though it's part of the story and it plays with the story, it is disappointing. It was a disappointing villain. Because in any story, you want the villains to be as imposing as the heroes, because that makes this balance, this battle between them, more spectacular and more imposing, and you can engage more. I feel that in this case with the film, the Taskmaster was not as imposing as a character, and I felt that it took away the power of the story in the end. So I felt that that was one of the biggest, if not the biggest disappointment for me here. Another big disappointment for me about the story It's the fact that I feel that a lot of elements of the story do not connect well in the end. I feel that the movie at moments tries to be soapy, try to give you a message, and it does give you messages. There are messages about empowerment to women, messages about family, and those are good. I like those moments about what a family is, who they really are to you, all of that. And ultimately, I feel that it tries to connect with those moments and try to make you feel something, but it doesn't fully connect there. I feel like I was getting there, but at the same time, I was not totally invested in those moments. And I think some of that is the same way the format that the MCU has with the films, that there are moments that you feel like, man, they're going into a place where I feel it in the heart. But all of a sudden there is like a joke that is thrown at you. And I feel that kind of steals the moment. And I feel that that's something that MCU has done a lot. And at times it feels that, okay, you're trying to be very dramatic, but you don't get there. You don't get me there. It's like we just get to second base. We don't make it to third base. We don't make it to home yet. And I feel that was the problem here in a lot of different sequences and particularly the dramatic moments. So I'll tell you, the film in the strong moments, of course, is all the action. But when it becomes dramatic, it becomes a bit soapy, but it doesn't get there fully. And that's a big disappointment. And of course, and part of it also is because we already know the outcome for Natasha Romanoff. Of course, we have seen that in the end of the Avengers Endgame. And it's something that ultimately is already in the back of your mind regardless, because you know it's a prequel, you know the outcome, and the film tried to respond to a lot of the questions that were created with previous films. You know, there's answers, Easter eggs, and all of that commentary and comments about this and that, and there's connection there. And it really kind of centers around all of those things, but ultimately it doesn't connect at the same level of other films in the franchise. So I think in the end it's a disappointment. In conclusion, I'm telling you, I had a lot of fun with this film. It was fun. I love the acting. Of course, I love Natasha Romanoff. I love Scarlett Johansson. Florence Pugh was amazing here too. David Harbour, I love the acting, and the action was good. I enjoyed that. This is a very good summer blockbuster film for sure. But it wasn't perfect. You know, in this case, the Taskmaster was a disappointment. You know, the villains were not as good. There's a lot of things that are happening here that you feel like, how is it that this Red Room, which is the organization that creates the Black Widows, is able to survive without the knowledge of other big organizations around the world where there's heroes and villains? But it's there, you know, it doesn't explain how, but it tells you that it's there. It's a prequel in the end. So there's a lot of things there that don't make sense, you know, and they don't connect as well. The soapy moments are not as good. Even at the beginning of the film, you hear the song of what smells like Teen Spirit from Nirvana. It's like a version of it, kind of like a girly version. Not as good. I didn't like the introduction like that. There are a couple of things that don't make sense. They don't add up. They try to make you feel something, but they don't really do that well. But beyond that, I feel that it was entertaining. You know, there were good things here. You know, I wish the film was done years ago rather than doing it now. If it was done years ago, I'm sure that the reviews would have been better. But ultimately, it is a prequel that was done in the aftermath. It was an afterthought that answers some questions, but it is entertaining. But ultimately, it's not one of the ultimate films here in the MCU. So if I have to give this film a final score, in my book, it's a 7.5 out of 10, which is good. It's enjoyable, it's fun. I recommend it to anyone. If you go to the movie theater, it's the best way to do it. If you cannot do it, watch it at home. Definitely, it's a good movie and it's an enjoyable ride. But what is your opinion? What do you think about this film? Have you watched it? Do you get a chance to do it? You're gonna skip it? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button so you're reminded of the next video. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The links are down below. And please consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless you. Take care, and I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.